Hey everyone, welcome back to the bench and to another basic skills video in wire jewellery. And in today's video, I thought we'd accumulate all the skills we've learned in the last, 4, 5, maybe 6 videos, throw it into one and make something. And also, I'm going to make this on the fly. I haven't practiced this. I'm going to design this on the fly because I thought it'd be nice to show you my design process and talk about it as I'm going through it. So what skills are we going to be using today? Well, we're definitely going to be using head pins. We made a load of these. I got a load left over. We can make some charms out of them. Again, using eye loops at the top. Also, just did coils. So I got a few of these left over. We can use these up as well. And yeah, so we're going to make coils. And also here, this is the main one really. I wanted to reinforce this lesson with you, go over it because it's a good one. And like I've always said, just keep repeating, practice, reinforce things, do them over and over and over again. All sinks in, it becomes muscle memory for the tools as well. So yeah, we're going to reinforce the wire wrapped bead cap as well. And I've got a load of these rondelles left over, these amethyst rondelles, and I really like to use them up. So yeah, should we crack on and let's have a look at what tools we're going to be using today. Before we get started, let's go through the tools that we'll be using today. As usual, chain nose, flat nose, #1 tools. They come out for every single project, should be by your side at all times. Pair of nylon jaw pliers, I'm going to be using this to straighten some wire. I've got my heavy duty cutters out. It's going to be cutting some thicker wire, thicker than 18 gauge, so going to need some heavy duty cutters. Normal cutters out as well, normal flush cutters. Now, I decided not to make my coils on the drill today. I thought I'd use the bell pliers. Chances are you have some bell pliers. If not, you're going to have a mandrel of around 6mm lying around the house. There'll be something, a pen, anything. You'll find something. So I thought I'd just use the bell pliers today and not get the drill out. The other reason for that means I don't have to move the camera up and down and we can do better close-up work. Yes, right. Where was I? Tools! Sharpie pen. Metal ruler. Wire gauge size today will be 20 gauge, which is 0.8mm, 18 gauge, which is 1mm, possibly using 16 gauge, which is 1.25mm, and possibly using 14 gauge, which is 1.5mm. And the bead sizes. So what I'm going to be using today, I've got some of these rondelles that I was using in the last video. They're 12mm in diameter and about 6mm in thickness. What you're looking for, especially for do the wire wrap bead cap, it's great to use a rondelle because it's nice and flat, but you can still use a bead. And what I have found and dug out, I've got a load of nice faceted amethyst to go along with these, ranging from 5mm down, 5mm, 3mm, and I think that's like a 2mm one. I'm going to be using these to make some charms. Right then, people. Let's crack on and let's make some wire jewellery. Right, before we get started, there's a few decisions that need to be made before we move on. Mainly, eye loops, sizes. So as you can see here, I've got these components. This is quite small, much smaller to that one. Now, we're about to make this into a bracelet. What looks best? What size am I going to make my eye loops? Now again, I'm going to be using the bell pliers. These two sizes here. Now normally, in this video and the eye loop video, I'll be using this size here. Fits in there perfectly, as you can see. But when you look at these rondelles, you have to make that decision. Is that eye loop too big? Lay it over the top. Does it dominate? Let's bring down the focus there. Sorry. There we go. Lay it over the top. Does that size dominate? Or is that size better? Decisions. Now, going over to the slightly smaller sizes, if we wish to make a charm and maybe add a charm in, will there be enough room within here or here to add the extra piece of wire in for a charm? So yeah, these are decisions to be made. So like if you wanted to, if we're going to join these together with jump rings, which I don't think I want to do this time. I did that in the last bracelet. I don't fancy using jump rings. I fancy just eye loops to eye loops this time round, and then adding maybe a charm in the middle, or adding maybe one jump ring further down the line. So yeah, decisions to be made before you move forward. Think about what size eye loop are you going to be making here? How does that size affect the bead? Now obviously I've already done these. I've got a size going. I like them. They are that size. I think it works well with the bead. So I think I'm going to stick with that size. So that means when I get to make these later, these eye loops, oh there we go, back in focus, sorry. These eye loops will be the same size as those ones. Right then, let's get started. So to start off with, I think I'm going to production line and make all of these. Let me show you how to do one and then speed the rest up so you don't get bored of me making them. Right, let's move on, get some tools and crack on. Right, let's get started by cutting some wire. Now, I'm going to start with using 20 gauge, which is 0.8 mil. Straighten it, nylon draw pliers. If you've got some, run it down. There you go, you can see. Start straight. If not, finger and thumb will do the job. Now, if you remember rightly, back in the wire wrapped eye loop video, already know what size wire I need for this, or roughly what size. So I'm going to cut 12 centimeters of wire. I'm not worrying about flush cutting the ends yet because they will be trimmed. How many do I need? So I need 2, 4, 6, 8. So I need 8 lengths, 12 centimeters. So I'm going to get all of that cut now. So if I was doing this in sterling silver, just cut one piece of copper. I would then proceed to make the thing I need to make, i.e. like this. I would then measure the wastage, and then you know exactly how much sterling silver to cut, so you don't have any wastage. But we're using copper. I think copper goes really well with amethyst. I would use sterling silver, but the price has gone through the roof at the moment. So yeah, I'm afraid to say it's copper for the moment. So right, let's get all this wire cut. 12 centimeters. And taking your marker pen, mark all the centers of the wires. Do some batch marking here, lining 3 up at a time here. There you go, 6, roughly center. Right, let me demonstrate this wire wrap bead cap for you one more time. If you want a much more in-depth talk about it, follow the link just there to the actual video on it, but I'll still go through it here. Right, take your bead, place it on your wire so you're halfway down your wire on the mark we just made. Fold one side one way, fold the other side the other way. Right, for the next part, now I did say at the start in the tools video that I wasn't going to be using my round nose pliers, but I've changed my mind at the last minute. I do believe these are best made on the round nose pliers. Chances are you've got round nose pliers. You might not have bell pliers, so I thought I'd better actually use a tool that you've got. So yeah, grab your round nose pliers, taking your marker pen. I want you to mark on your round nose pliers where you're going to make your loop. Mine about there, it's down by about 5 mil. Taking your round nose pliers, coming in and pinching the wire so you're nice and tight to the bead. See that? Tight to the bead. Take that first wire, fold it over the first jaw, and we want to come underneath and out the other side. But before we do that, open your pliers up. Make your life easy. See? And now bring the wire underneath and out the other side. And stop. Now, admittedly, that's ugly. Doesn't look much. Take your flat nose pliers, crimp it together. There we go. That's a little bit better. Still misshapen. Pop it back onto your round nose pliers down by your mark. Using your flat nose, just crimp it to take the size. There we go. That's a lot better. Now do the same again the other side. coming in, crimping, bringing it over. Now if you want to be really super, I suppose is the word, disciplined, you could bring it around this side of the jaw. Remember last time we went that side? This time we're coming to the outside of the jaw. Basically what that means is that your bead cap will wrap the opposite way round to the other side. There we go. Again, not looking very good. Get my flat nose in there and tidy up for a split second. Best tip I could ever give on wire wrap jewellery or any jewellery, take that extra few seconds to tidy up. Make sure your loops are circled, but that's what you're aiming for. Let's just straighten that one out. Not bad. Let's redo that size so they're both the same size. That's a bit better. That's what you're aiming for. There we go. That one's a little bit tight, and then we can make that one a little bit bigger. See, it's a great example by just forcing it down on our round nose pliers down to the size. There we go. That's better. There we go. That's a little bit better. But that's what you're aiming for. You want your loops to be flush to your bead. Right then, pop it back on your round nose pliers. And this is where I do like to use my flat nose. I want you to grab the wire and just bring it round once. That's all, just once, one wrap. And you want a little bit of tension on this one as well, because this is the wrap that's going to hold it in place. Stop, do the other side. Just round the once. See that tip here? Take it off, reposition it on your pliers. Makes life a lot easier. Just round the once and stop. Have a look. Now you can see it's not a particularly great shape. It's an oblong shape. Take your flat chain nose pliers, crimp it until you get a nice round shape. If you were to carry on wrapping with that oblong shape, you won't get a round bead cap. You'll get an oblong shaped bead cap. There we go. It's not too bad. Same again the other side. Just again taking that few minutes just to crimp it in. There we go. Make it more circular. That's not too bad. Happy with that. Back onto the round nose pliers. Now you can just use your fingers from this point onwards. Just gently start bringing the wire round and laying it next to the other wire. You're not pulling tight here. You don't want to be pulling it underneath. Just keep going until you're happy, really. There's no set size here. It all comes down to the size of the bead you're using and your rondelle. There we go. That's not too bad. I'm going to go over to the other side. Whoops-a-daisy. Back on that. And again, like I say, just use your thumb, fingers and thumbs for this, because then you won't pull it tight. And like I say, just keep going until you reach the desired size bead cap that you like. Not too bad. I might pop this around one more time. Ouch. Now, let's do the little flourish at the end there. So you can measure this if you want to, or this is the one time I might actually say go by eye, but you're looking to leave about 5 mil of wire coming off the wrap. Flush cut that end. Make sure it is flush cut. This is where chain nose pliers come in really handy here. Grab that tip. Now, before we bend back, if I was to start grabbing that tip now, you can see I'm going to start undoing everything I did here. So you need to anchor. Put your thumb there and anchor the wire with your thumb. I know it's tricky. It is bit of fingers and thumbs, as the old saying goes. Grab the tip of the wire, turn it back round on itself. Now, still keep going. Re-grip. Don't go cack-handed. And bring it in. There we go. To the bead. Now, if it's sticking up, you can see it's sticking up a little bit there. Just get your flat nose in. Well, I can get my flat nose in because of the start of the bead. If you can't do that, just use the back of your flat nose like this to help shape. Then do the same again the other side. Now obviously, because you wrap the other side the other way, you're going to turn a different direction. There we go. Grab that tip. Bring it in tight. Actually, it's a little bit too big. It's just sticking out over my rondo a little bit. So what I'm going to try and do here is just bring it back round. See if I can't wrap it. That extra melt. Oh, there we go. That's a bit better. That's a lot better. There you go. Quick demonstration again on how to do wire wrapped bead caps. Now I'm going to production line the rest of them and get them all made. There we go. Now I've got the main components. I'm just going to lay them out, see what kind of length I've got going on. And like I said, I wanted to bring these in and use these coil designs. So whether I go in between every one or maybe every other, I don't know. So if I have to go every other, that means there has to be a jump ring between these, because they're closed eye loops. But if I go this way, then I don't have to include any jump rings. I think I'm going to go this way. So every other bead, we're going to place one of these coil knot kind of patterns in between. Also, I don't know if you've noticed, I'm going to have to replace the eye loops in these and go with smaller eye loops, because as you can see, I put these together, they are a different size. So I will have to change the eye loops in these. But yeah, so I need to now create a few more of these. Now, how many do I need? Is the question. How long is a bracelet? Now, this is one of the things, whenever you're making a bracelet, it's the hardest length to get right, because everybody's wrists are different. So you know what I do? I've had this bracelet hanging around. It's an example bracelet, never sold it. I used to use it in my workshops to show people what we're about to make, which is this, as you can see here. But also, it gives me a good length, so I often use this. So let me get a ruler out here. So not including the shepherd's clasp, we'll come to that in a minute. So we're looking at making it about 17 centimeters long. So probably be able to remove a couple of these beads. Yeah, so I'll probably make another, let's have a look, 1, 2. I actually might use all these beads. We shall see. I'm hoping not. I wanted to try and save 2 for maybe a pair of earrings to go on the side. So yeah, let's try and do that. I'm going to go, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So yeah, we're going to make another 4 of these. Right then, let me show you again, and to reinforce, how to make one of these. Right, to make one of these, I'm going to be using my bell pliers. I want the 6mm size. So if you don't have a pair of bell pliers, you just need like a 6mm mandrel. And to be honest, play around with sizes. You might find a larger one works better or a slightly smaller one works better. Now, if you are going to change sizes, you may need to change wire gauge size as well. So for this, we're going to be using a bit of 18 gauge. 1mm. Right then, let's put that to one side. Let's show you this demonstration of how to make one of those. So this is a great one. You don't need to cut any wire off of there for the moment. You don't need to flush cut the end just yet. So take your wire, start wrapping around your bell pliers. And you want to go round until you've wrapped round 5 times. Oh, there we go. Sorry, I'm in focus there. I'm going to stop there. I'm going to flush cut that end, making sure my flat end is into the coil, like so. And then I'm going to flush cut again this end, making sure I am in line with my cut the other end. There we go. That's what you're looking to do, is to make a coil that's got 5 wraps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and flush cut. And that makes sure the ends are in line with each other at each end. Now, I need to make another 4 of these, and there's 2 per 8 these, so another 7 of these I need to make. So time for a bit of production lining, and then I'll show you how to put them together. Here we go. Once we've got our coils made, we can join them together. Oh, there we are, in the centre. So, easy, really. Just treat them like a key ring. So choose one. Get your finger down it like that, so you can just slot it on, and then just start feeding it. Like I say, just like a key ring, onto the other one. Go on in. Typical. I'm trying to show you something, and it won't go right. There we go. That's what you do. Just roll it round until you join them together. Now, obviously, you're going to have to squash this as you go along, because it's going to open up. Okay, that's going really well. Like I say, keep squashing it as you go along. You can see it there because it does open up. It is a spring. Right, you got to keep going until they join. Fully join. Now that last bit is always the tricky bit. Now, it wouldn't be wire work if it wasn't tricky. Come on. There we go. There we go. They're now joined together. See? Now, how we want to finish them is that we want to hide our ends, but we want to hide our ends on the inside. So I'm going to turn them both around. So I'll start with that one. Put that on the inside there, see? And then same with this one. Turn it around so the ends are hide on the inside. So there we go. So all we can see is the 5 wraps of the coils. Perfect. Now what we need to do now is actually, we need to put an eye loop through there. So grabbing some more 18 gauge, create an eye loop. Now, like I said earlier on, I made these ones. The eye loop's too big. When you get the beads next to the beads, there we go. There was focus. There's focus. You can see they're a little bit too big, so I'm going to have to remake those eye loops. Now, I normally make those eye loops on these bell pliers here. I'm going to just pop down to this size here. Now, I know how much wire I need to make that eye loop there when using this bell plier here. This size here, that's 12mm. I've done it. It's in a video earlier on how to perfect eye loops. Here, I'll put the link there. I recommend you watch it. So I'm swapping sizes. So I need to work out how much wire do I need to make that eye loop. So before I start, I'm just going to make a dummy eye loop. Roll around, chain those pliers, kink it. So they've got the eye loop there. And then I'm going to trim that off at the neck. As you can see. And then I'm going to take 2 pairs of pliers. I have 2 chain those here. And we're going to flatten it out. I'm then going to measure that. And now I know exactly how much wire I need to make an eye loop around that size on the bow. So this is going to come out at 9mm because I already know this. There we go. There you go, 9mm. spot on. So, like I said, I know it takes 9mm of wire to make an eye loop around that. So let's get an eye loop made. So, flush cut. Run my fingers down, making sure nothing's sticking out. Roll it over. Put the kink in and trim off. I don't need to need a few centimeters. About there. Now I've got my eye loop made. My eye pin, sorry. I need to put it through here. So what you're looking to do is you're looking to go from one corner. Oh, dropped it. You're looking to go from one corner to the other. So put it in this side here. There we go. And now I want it to come out the other side there. First time. Brilliant. Nice one. Now I'm going to turn the eye loop on its side. There we go. That's looking pretty good. So, knowing it's going to be 9mm to make that eye loop. There we go. Now make the eye loop the other side. Now what I will do here is I will make sure my eye loops all roll down the same direction. Tighten that one up a little bit. There we go. Eye loops in. Both the same size and pretty much the close same size as the bead. Brilliant. Right then, production line and do the rest. There we go, now we've finished these, we can then start laying everything out, seeing what kind of design we've got. So I'm kind of liking going every other one, definitely. Yeah, let's do something like that. I think I'm just going to start just putting it together and seeing how far we get. So yeah, let's start putting it together. Right, let's start putting these together. So I'm going to start with one of these, and this is something I probably haven't spoken about yet, and I didn't even cover this in the eye loop video, which is, I'm surprised I didn't say this, is about opening your eye loops. Number one rule, this is a rule, to the side, like so. Don't open them up that way, otherwise you'll lose the shape of the circle. See, just to the side. Just enough so you can hook through your eye loop on the other side. Then close it back up. Then when closing it back up, get it to meet. There we go. Right. Quick lesson in how to open an eye loop. You probably already know that. But that's a rule. That's a hard and fast rule to the side. Right, let's do the rest. There we go. Now we've got them all together, we can start thinking about length and how long this is. So, like I say, I often use this bracelet. If I find a bracelet that you've got that you can then use as a dummy length. But the problem is with bracelets is that everybody's wrist is a different size. Everybody's going to, so you're going to have to make large ones, you're going to have to make small ones. So I often fashion these around my wrists. I haven't got particularly large ones. So let's have a quick look. Actually meets up. It's quite nice. So I think this is a little bit too long. So I think I could probably get rid of a couple of components. I'm going to get rid of these ones at this end because they're a little bit paler than this one at this end. Yeah, so yeah, I'm going to remove those two components, that end. Excellent. So that seems to give me the rough length. Now I need to add the clasp, shepherd's crook clasp at each end. But also I do want to make a charm because I do have some head pins left over, and I think it'd be nice with a charm just hanging off by the clasp. I've got these lovely faceted beads here, so I thought I'd use a few of those up for a charm. So let's do that in a minute. But first thing first, let's make a shepherd's crook clasp. Now, when it comes to shepherd's crook clasp, I've already done a whole video on it. I think it's 20 minutes long. I'll put the link in the corner. Whoa, where's my finger? There we go. There. But just before you go any further, I will talk about wire size before I make one. Now, what works best on a bracelet, something like this? So I have I've got some 16 gauge or 14 gauge. 16 is 1.25 and this one's 1.5. So just have a look. That goes through. I think I'll go for the 1.25, the 16 gauge. Right, I'm going to make a shepherd's crook clasp out of that. I'm just going to work off the roll to make the shepherd's crook clasp, and I'll do this quite quickly. Like I said, I have a whole video on it, slowing it down. Just to start with, I'm going to create a small loop. And then, taking my bell pliers, I'm going to go around the 6mm bell. And bend round to make the crook. There we go. You can see it there. And for the moment, I'm just going to trim that off, giving myself plenty. Couple of centimeters. I'm going to get my hammer and my block. And all I'm going to do is just gently hammer the top end. So basically just the top of the curve. What you're doing is you're work hardening and you're strengthening that curve, because that's where all the stress will happen as it opens and closes. As you can see, it's opened a little bit. Just going to close it back up. Right, all I need to do now is just place a loop this end here. So I'm going to go with my usual size of eye loop, which is that one here. I know it takes 12mm, thereabouts, wire. Look at that. I measured that, that's at 13. Ooh, I got just enough. I'll just take off the tip. And using the bell pliers, I'm just going to roll down and create the eye loop. What I like to do is when I'm doing a shepherd's crook, see if I can finish top to bottom like that. There we go. Like a little figure of 8 there. Then taking that, placing that on one side of my bracelet. There we go, pretty happy with that. Right, let's do the other side of the shepherd's crook clasp. Shepherd's crook clasp. I can't say that. I strip over my words and my tongue every time I try and say it. So, again, sticking into the bell pliers. Going to trim off, flush cut. What size loop do I want the other one? We don't want a huge loop. No, we could go the same size as that, or we can go a bit smaller. Let's go the same size. So basically make a giant eye loop. So make sure you put the kink in. Again, I'm going to trim off, just leaving myself a couple of centimeters at the most. And then I'm going to get the hammer and block. And we're just going to, again, hammer just the very top end of the eye loop. Slightly strengthen it, and also a bit more aesthetics. As again, it's just opened up. I will close that back up. And again, we just need to make an eye loop the other end. I'm going to do the same size as the other one, so 12mm. I'm actually at 13 or 14 here. Let's trim that down. Now, I could roll down the same way. Oh, there we go, we're in focus there. I could roll down the same way, but I'm going to roll down the opposite way. There we go. And then put the kink in. There we go. The female part of a shepherd's crook clasp. And I'm going to pop that on the other end. Cool. Not looking too bad. Well, it's not too bad. It's a little small. I think that's okay. Right. I want to add a charm here. Add something here. Maybe a charm to hang off that loop there, or the other side. So yeah, let's make a charm. Do another one with the wire wrapped eye loop bead cap, and yeah, use up some head pins. Right, here we go. We have one leftover head pin from the head pin tutorial, and I got these some nice faceted amethyst beads here. Let's make a charm. Now I had some slightly smaller beads as well, but they don't fit. The hole's too small. But it's great, I can save them for another project, because I've got a pendant project I could use them with. So yeah, they will come in handy. So yeah, just a little charm like that. So let's grab this and have a quick look. Now, is it a 2-bead charm or is it a 3-bead charm? I think let's go 3 beads. Let's work in the numbers of 3. It's the magic number, you know. Now, is that now too long? Ooh. I actually think that's not too bad. Sorry. Better lighting there. I'm going to go with that. Cool. So let's be really tricky here, and let's actually put a bead cap into this, because I think that would match everything else as well. So fold that wire down nice and tight to the top of the bead, like so. Yeah, so what am I looking for? I'm looking for my round nose pliers. Here they are. So I'm going to do a closed wire wrapped eye loop on this. And so exactly the same as I showed you before with the amethyst beads. I'm going to stick to the size that I used before. I can just about see my mark on there. Go over the top, like so. Open my pliers up. I'm going to bring it underneath, like so. Stop for a second, just tidy up. There we go. Back onto the pliers, and I'll use my flat nose for these. I prefer to get more purchase on the wire. Wrap round once. Stop. Have a look. There we go. That's not as round as I would like it to be. Chain nose. Cool, I'm happy with that. And now, using my thumb and my fingers just to wrap the wire around. So he's got a little hat on. I don't think I'm going to go. Yeah, I might as well go use all of that. Might as well. Cool. And now we need to put that little flourish in. So I'm going to anchor the wire there with my thumb. And using my chain nose pliers, grabbing the tip, turn it back on itself. Now I'm going to be careful I don't scratch the bead underneath. I quite like that, it's looking good. There we go. One charm. Now let's add that to the bracelet. Now, where are we going to sit, there or there? I think we sit there. So all we need to do is just open up that eye loop there. And pop our charm on. Now you can do more charms if you wish. I'm just going for the one. There we go. That moves all right, yeah, I'm happy with that. There we go. All finished. Now, this needs patina and polishing. But before I patina, this needs a good wash. You can see here where that started to tarnish over, and that's not tarnishing. So we need to scrub that little bit of tarnishing off and give it a good wash so the patina bonds to the metal. Good. Okay, time for a montage. Now the protector clears dry, we can pick it up and have a good look at it. Well, I think it's come out rather well. I was quite pleased with this. It looks really good. It just shows what you can do with some simple techniques. Fantastic. Yeah, the only thing I would suggest is that now it's dry, and now as I was polishing it, this here, I would probably add a jump ring here, just to help with the charm a little bit, to give it a little bit more play, so it's a little bit looser. I did notice that when you do it up together, that it can get a little tight. See, just a little tight. I just feel like it should hang a little looser, so a jump ring would just sort that problem out. So yeah, if you are making this, maybe consider adding a jump ring in there. But otherwise, generally, I'm really pleased with it. This is a good build. Excellent. Nice. There you go, everybody. Taking very basic skills, the wire wrap high loop, making it into a bead cap, a coil, putting it together like a keyring, and then making a bracelet. It just shows how simple wire jewellery can be. You don't need to be complicated all the time with weaves here and there. You can just do something very simple like that. Eye loops, coils, wire wrapped bead caps. Nothing more than that. And produce something, you know, quite beautiful. Nice one, people. Thank you for joining me in this video. I look forward to seeing everybody back at the bench, and coming up in the next one is going to be the first beats at the bench, so some music for you to listen to while you're working and give me a breather for a week while I get some more stuff ready for you guys. Nice one, people. I look forward to seeing you back at the bench soon. Take care. Bye-bye. To support this channel and help me keep making more videos, please come on over to join my Patreon, where you'll get early access to all my videos, free downloads of my books and tutorials, and entries into my giveaways and more.